Percy and the Signal opens up with Percy being a little turd to everybody and teasing them.
Hurry up, Gordon. The train's ready. Gordon thought he was late.
Percy then visits James, telling him that Sir Topham Hatt will see him and that he should stay in the shed. So all the other engines are forced to do James's work for the day, mainly because James is just staying in the shed, because he thinks that Sir Topham Hatt told him to, until his driver said, "Hey, yo, James, Sir Topham Hatt didn't say anything about that." And then he vows to kill Percy. Sir Topham Hatt then yells at both Percy and James, even though James is more the victim in this scenario than anything else. Later on that day, James and Gordon figured out a way to get back at Percy by telling him about backward signals.
We had spoken of backing signals, put in James. They need extra special care, you know.
Percy then heads up to his signal, and he thinks that it's a backing signal. His driver's telling him to move on, so Percy goes ahead and moves back. Driver's like, "What are you doing?" And Percy thinks it's a backing signal, and then his driver explains everything, and Percy's like, "I gotta move before everybody sees me," and then Gordon rushes by. Percy heads home to the shed that night, mad and embarrassed, while Gordon and James have big grins on their faces. Our next episode is where we get introduced to a brand new engine who's a pretty big character for the early seasons. That being Montague, aka Duck. I don't know why they call him Duck. It's just... beats me. Duck heads off to work with Percy while all the other engines are too busy making fun of him because his name is Duck. So Topham Hatt is busy having tea time and... Wait a minute. Why don't Americans have tea time? Like, seriously. Why doesn't America have a specific time in the day where everybody takes a break for work and we just sit down, chat, and have a nice cup of tea? Like, I like tea. I like eating little biscuits and little treats. I'm drinking tea while I'm editing this. Like seriously. Like, we need, a tea time here in the United States. Like they're so focused on milking workers as far as they possibly can. But, the UK, they get tea time, and they're just as productive, if not more, because they're not draining their workers, and they're not exhausted to the point where they just want to die. And yeah, American movies and TV shows, they tend to make fun of tea time quite a bit, but I feel like if America had tea time, things would be a lot better for their workers. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, the silly train show about slavery. Alright, back to the episode. So Topham Hatt notices that there's a fight going on outside, so he puts on his big boy britches and gets on out there. So, it's Henry, Gordon, and James versus Percy and Duck. And so Topham Hatt notices that everyone's fighting, and he is like, "Alright, everybody stop this crap and get back to work." And then they get back to work. So, these episodes are pretty good, I'd say. Nothing too bad about them. It's nice seeing Percy get his comeuppance in the first episode, even though James was kind of being victim blamed a little bit, and he really didn't deserve any type of punishment. But the introductory to Duck is a pretty decent episode, and overall, it is a pretty decent batch of episodes, which unsurprisingly made me mad wanting America to have tea time.